So next up, we have Carol Penfield. Carol is a lifestyle medicine provider at Emerald Physicians. She received her baccalaureate degree in nursing from Boston College and graduated summa cum laude with a Master of Science degree from Northeastern. She has been a certified adult nurse practitioner by the American Academy of Nurse Practitioners since 1994. Carol is also an ACE certified personal trainer with extensive training in clinical nutrition. For the last 7 years, she has specialized exclusively in lifestyle medicine, which addresses healthy behaviors that can improve and sustain health with proven strategies. Carol also runs Emerald Physicians' shared medical appointments with Dr. Siddhartha and focuses on weight loss support. Today, Carol is going to discuss how to manage stress, weight gain, and hormonal symptoms before and after menopause. Welcome, Carol.
I am thrilled to be here with a room full of women. It's a special treat. So if we can advance to slides there. Oh, it's all me. Okay, I wasn't sure if you. Okay, well, we have a lot to cover in a short period of time, but I'm going to do my best in discussing stress, weight gain, and hormonal changes during and still. So I want to first talk about my specialty, because a lot of people don't really understand what lifestyle medicine actually is. And so if you compare that to primary care, which we've just been discussing about early detection and quick treatments, but actually taking a look and taking a step back at the cause of the illness or the condition that you're concerned about, and looking at your nutrition, your exercise, effective stress management, sleep, substance abuse, smoking, and even more importantly, social support, relationships, depression, and our interaction in society. All these play a huge role in your health as we move forward, as we age gracefully, shall we say. So I'm going to touch upon menopause here. As we all know, the ovaries stop producing an egg and we stop menstruating. And our ovaries stop making as much estrogen as it had been. Drops all the way down to 90% drop. So we really go quite down in our estrogen. We have lots of different symptoms. So by looking in this room, how many here experienced hot flashes? A little higher, I can't quite see those arms. Okay. So generally speaking, as high as 80% of women can experience hot flashes during their lovely experience of menopause. So as I talk a little bit here, since we've all moved past, or a fair amount of us have moved past menopause, but looking at these symptoms afterwards, and a lot of people kind of dread menopause for, not sure why, but if you look at hot flashes just specifically, hot flashes or night sweats coming at night, then all of a sudden you're not sleeping so well. Then if you're sleeping lousy, then maybe some headaches start to occur. Mood starts to change. You get a little cranky because you're not sleeping so well. Brain fog, haven't slept so well, can't really multitask anymore, sort of feeling hazy in the head. The next few symptoms are clearly related to our estrogen, as far as vaginal dryness, change in sex drive, and bladder problems, which will be discussed later. But moving back to the last three, also sleeping poorly, we get body aches, we get fatigue, and this can be pretty depressing. And a lot of that all will lead towards weight gain. But I want to paint a happier picture here, because it doesn't have to necessarily be this cascade of events, that we can get at this in a very multiple ways. So generally speaking, for hot flashes purposes, is really looking at triggers for some people. So it'll be hot foods, hot room, caffeine, smoking, alcohol, and certainly stress, which is what we'll be talking about a bit in a minute. So our hormones. So we love to blame lots of things on our hormones, or we love to love our hormones. It sort of depends on the approach we wish to take. But we have estrogen and progesterone receptors all over the place in our bodies. And so it's not just in our blood vessels, not just in our bone, but vaginal wall, breast, uterine, even in the colon, a little bit in the brain. So there's a lot going on. And the other thing to think about too is there are generally sort of two different types of hormone receptors, and they're alpha and there's beta. And so the alpha tend to be more located in the vaginal wall, the breast, the uterus, etc., and the beta tend to be more in the bone. So now they started to distill out and started to make hormone replacement therapy be a little more specific. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything on this slide. So I want to take you through a little timeline here. So that led us to the Women's Health Initiative study. So back in the 20s, they started to find out that women's ovaries were removed, they started to have less breast cancer, and they thought, maybe there's a relationship here. Let's look at estrogen a little closer. Then we get into the 40s, where women were starting to speak up about their menopausal symptoms. And so they came up with happy pills, tranquilizers, even electric shock therapy for women in the 1940s region. And then it sort of took a back step because breast cancer and hormones started to become secondary to heart disease. Since that was the #1 killer, focus went much more towards heart disease. And so in the 1990s, the National Institute of Health had their first female director, which led us to the Women's Health Initiative study. And this is where they really dug deeper into HRT, hormone replacement therapy. So for many years, we thought that the panacea was going to be estrogen and progesterone, and everybody's going to feel wonderful, and all will be well. But it didn't quite work out that way. In fact, they had to stop the study before that, based on the fact that they were seeing heart attacks, strokes, blood clots, etc., breast cancer, and other harm. So they stopped. But as you look at the women that were in this study, 160,000 in different arms of this study, that they realized that there was another trend going on, that a lot of these women that sought hormone replacement therapy were actually very healthy in other ways. They were looking at the way they lived their life. Back to lifestyle. Oh, I got very excited there with lifestyle. So lifestyle medicine, again, has made entered the arena of medicine when they realized these women were actually exercising regularly. They were eating a high fiber diet, lots of fruits and vegetables. They were checking their cholesterol regularly and well educated about all these other components of their lifestyle. So that's what brought me into the profession that I am in. So still it led on to lots of different types of hormone replacement therapy. You have pills, we have patches, we have topical creams, we have vaginal rings and ointments and so on and so forth. And certainly very importantly that women who still have a uterus needed to have the combination of estrogen and progesterone. Progestin being more of a synthetic component, they found there were some issues there. Maybe progesterone was leading more towards Alzheimer's risks, leading more towards blood clots. So our head started to spin on all of this. But clearly, the list here talks about blood clots, cancer risk, heart disease, liver disease, heart attack, stroke, and certainly if you're currently pregnant. So hopefully no one has to worry about that in this room. But nonetheless, those are all concerns. So I'm going to just share one little story here. When I was working in rheumatology in the early 90s as a nurse practitioner, I had a patient come in. She was 83 years old and wanted to treat her osteoporosis. So she wanted to go on a medication called Avista, which I call a psychedelic estrogen, which is specific to certain estrogen receptors, which I just had mentioned, the beta receptors. And so I introduced the medication to her and told her about the side effects and the usage and that she needed to come back and see me in 2 weeks. She said, fine. She came back to see me in 2 weeks and she came in and she said, Carol, I feel wonderful. I feel like I'm 50 years old again. I'm getting hot flashes. So I guess it's also a certain way you wish to look at some of these symptoms and so forth. But I always loved that story. But that was the selective estrogen receptor. So moving on from hormone replacement therapy, so then we started to go searching more in the direction of supplements. So what do we do about all of these supplements? I want to just remind you that supplements are a multi-billion-dollar industry. And they are working hard to come up with a way to tell you that this is the answer. So the minute we find out something, then we go right into that direction of maybe in pill form that's going to help out. A lot of times we need to step back and go back to the basics before we go running too far forward into medications and treatments and operations. I'm going to touch mostly on the second one here, soy isoflavones, because that seems to be getting a lot of people's attention. Everybody can still hear me okay, is that correct? Okay, great. So the phytoestrogens that are found in soy are somewhat similar to the estrogens that are in our bodies. And so as we looked at, why could this possibly be better for us? They looked at a lot of studies in Japan, looking at women in Japan, and they found that the soy intake there was much higher, and surprise, surprise, they had increased bone strength, they had less osteoporosis, they had less heart disease, and they had less hot flashes. So America has about 80% hot flashes in the menopausal group of women, and in Japan was only about 15%. So they went really in that direction of soy, trying to say, okay, maybe soy, something's going on here, we better look at this more closely. But I just want to caution you on that, because they also realized that we probably should also look at everything else going on with these Japanese women. Is it just the soy they eat, or what else is on their plate? Is it the fruits and vegetables? Is it sweet potato? Is it rice? I doubt it's ice cream and cheeseburgers. I could be wrong. But they certainly have a much healthier diet. So we have to sort of think about that a little bit on whether it's the tofu, whether it's the soy milk, whether it's the phytoestrogens, or is it other components that are making them more healthy. And so if you really distill down, there have been studies out there that really distill down for all the factors and found that folks that ate whole food, plant-based diets had much less menopausal symptoms. So looking at the big picture. But certainly, as they looked a little deeper, soy does seem to show that it has an ability to shut down some of those receptors. So a cup of soy milk or half a cup of tofu or soybeans can decrease the receptor response by as much as half or 50%. So there's a lot to be learned there. But again, it's not about running back out to the supplement store or to the bioidentical or compound pharmacy to get great batches of this, but putting this into perspective, because there's so much else in the soy and other things in your foods that are making you a healthier person. So the soy products, the soy pills, the soy powders haven't panned out, and also the fiber substitutes and et cetera haven't really shown to be of any more benefit than having it in its real form. And I think that covers everything I wish to say there. One last thing is with these compound pharmacies is that they're state regulated rather than federal regulated. So one pill could have more in it than the next pill. And so it's not being as well protected as the FDA will protect the HRT's category of medications. So after saying all that, maybe I started to stress you all out. I don't know, maybe, maybe not. But I'm going to shift gears a little bit now to stress, because stress can mean a lot of things for different people. So multitasking females on the right here could be stressful for some. Trying to figure out technology might be stressful for others. But the key here is that it's about your perspective and how you approach stress. So stress is clearly related to increased disease and increased hormonal issues, et cetera, but how do we get this back into perspective? So taking a quick look at the stress response, this again is all in your handouts here. But you have the autonomic nervous system, so you have your fight or flight, and then you also have the parasympathetic nervous system that helps bring you back to homeostasis and balance. So if I were to throw a snake in the middle of the room, half of you might run for the door, and half of you might be curious and take a quicker, closer look at it. So again, it's back to our perspective of what does stress truly mean to us. But we have all these mechanisms built in us so that we could run out. If all of a sudden a saber-toothed tiger came in here, we would have the adrenaline, we would have that surge of blood sugar, et cetera, that would get us out that door. So we also want to be able to recover afterwards, and that's the area where we are starting to miss out on, is spending so much time in active in lifestyle. Are we spending enough time calming ourselves? So there's 3 different aspects of relaxation. So for some of you, you might find, oh, I feel pretty calm about things. My life's pretty good. I got everything under control. Might have a little bit of tension in the neck and shoulders. Or someone else may say, well, I go to yoga regularly, but while I'm lying there in Savasana, I'm thinking about my to-do list today. So there's the busy mind, and then there's the tense body, and then the third aspect, which is your spirit and your social engagement, your meaning and your purpose in life. So we may be relaxed in our body and our mind, but are we connected in society? Are we having a healthy approach to life in general? And that can change sometimes as we age. So we're going to take a quick little travel through these different options. And so in your handouts, you'll see there are plenty of techniques for those who tend to find that they hold tension in their body. Folks with low back pain, neck and shoulder pain, etc. Some folks find it easier to do a progressive relaxation through their body. Relax your feet, relax your calves, relax your knees, so on, and move up the body. Also, breathing, just taking an inhale and then a long, slow exhale can help people relax more. I like physical activity myself. I'm partial to that. But the interesting thing about physical activity and these breathing techniques, and even Tai Chi and Qigong and yoga, is while you're doing these movements, you're focusing on what you're doing. You're focusing on the here and now and the mindfulness that involves. A little hard to be thinking about your to-do list or the person you need to call at the end of the day while you're just practicing some nice, gentle, rhythmic motions. So these all have a little bit of overlap between mind and body. So the mind often will respond a little better to more of a meditation technique. So some people may sit and try to relax and think about one thing, and their busy mind gets going, and they may have to maybe move more towards music, or maybe having a guided imagery, or having an app speak back to you, or have some sort of a guided relaxation response. In your bags, you'll find a blue sheets there, about 4 or 5 sheets there that really go through. Any of you technological whizzes out there that would like an app for their phone and say, okay, I'd like an app that really will help me relax my mind. Or maybe I need one that will help me more relax my body. Or maybe a combination that I need one to help me fall asleep. So there's a wonderful list in there that you can look at if you like that sort of a tool. The nice thing about music and humor, going to a funny movie, is also distraction plays a beautiful role at helping us manage our stress in our mind. And then lastly is spirit. I think volunteering and showing kindness to others is a pretty powerful component of our spirituality, of forgiveness, of course. But looking at ways for gratitude and self-compassion, we're pretty tough on ourselves. And so I think coming up with a way to sort of give yourself a break in that category, I highly recommend. And trying not to judge. That is an important one. And they've also shown in the breast cancer literature, and also in the disease literature, that people who have more friends have longer longevity, and the breast cancer survival rate for folks who have more than 6 to 8 friends that they could call on. And the blue zones, where folks live to at least age 100 or more, one of the top 10 criteria of those folks is they had at least 3 friends that they could rely on, that they could call on if they needed help for something. So it's sort of interesting. We now have a room full of women, so quick, go make some friends, and you'll all live a long, happier life. But it's an important piece. Okay, So we're going to next take a quick second and we're going to practice a little bit of relaxation. So you can take this at any level you wish. It's going to move through a little quickly, so of course relaxation can't happen in 5 minutes, but we're going to have a little taste testing of different styles. So just get comfortable in your chair and just place your hands on your belly. Will I have a sound issue if I move? Placing your hands on your belly and just taking a breath in, letting the diaphragm open, the belly open up, and then exhale. Just let it contract in. And breathe in again. Trying to breathe into the belly rather than into the chest and the shoulders and the neck, and exhale. And breathe in. And exhale. Now place your hands down on your legs. And we're going to take a breath in for 4 and then out for 8. So it's going to be a little different for everybody. So you breathe in and exhale for 8. Breathe in and out. So your speed might be different. So in to the top of the breath, right up to the top of the head. Exhale, long and slow. And again, breathe in. You can close your eyes if you wish. And exhale, long and slow. And so as you keep breathing, for some folks who feel that they're more concerned about tension in their body, sort of do a little inventory. Where's the tension? Is there neck tension? Is there shoulder tension? Do I have lower back tension? Just breathing in and exhale. Just let all that area relax. With the exhale, just blow it out. Again, breathing a nice deep breath in and exhale out and down. For others who might feel that their mind is still a little too busy, breathing in and thinking of one word, such as peace, as you exhale. Or inhale, maybe the word calm, or love, or relaxation. And then lastly, for those who still fear their mind is still coming in, breathing in, thinking about whatever you're thinking about right now. Put it on a raft. Exhale. Blow that raft right out of the room. And you breathe in. That thought shows up. Wash away that judgment. Exhale. Just send it out the door. So now I'll let you breathe a little easier. I don't want anyone falling asleep on me because I have a few more things to talk about. So I'll ask you to open up your eyes and we're going to move on now. You're welcome. To looking at our waistlines as we get to menopause. And we want to blame it on those hormones. Why are we gaining weight? Well, actually, we only gain about 5 pounds on average if we control for everything else at menopause. But really what menopause represents for a lot of people is a change in our life. We may not be running after our kids as much as we were. We may be getting closer to retirement and maybe going out to eat a little bit more. Or now we have more technology than we did before. We're not moving around quite as much as we used to. Or we're having that symptom cascade as I talked about earlier in the speech. But our metabolic changes do occur, that is for sure. As we get older, our body composition changes, a little more fat on the body, little less muscle. But we want to really try to stay hydrated to keep our metabolism up. Try not to skip meals. Try to eat small, frequent meals throughout the day. Trying to really fuel your body all makes a difference here. Okay, so managing our waistline. First, it can't be done without exercise. 95% of people who successfully lose weight exercise. 95%. How much? Hopefully at least 150 minutes throughout the week. That's for general health. For weight loss, up to 300 minutes per week. And so many of you are saying, oh my goodness, I'm doing the math, that's a lot. So the good news here is that it doesn't have to be all done at once. It can be done in divided amounts. They have shown that just 10 minutes of exercise has been correlated with heart health, elevating your mood, and even actually losing weight. Folks that exercise 40 minutes once a day can lose just as much weight as the folks who exercise 10 minutes 4 times a day, if you can control for their diet what's going in their mouth. So it can be done in small amounts throughout the day, any type of exercise. And I'm a little curious too that I'm thinking the more we actually introduce sweating, which may not be where we're thinking now as we get older or less young or wiser, I'm not sure which. But I think the whole component of breaking a sweat may have a lot to do with helping us, our heat regulators as we enter a menopausal stage. So you can share that with your pre and perimenopausal friends. Next, can't be done without eating more vegetables. These are the the most two important components of losing weight: exercising regularly and more vegetables. Now, when I put 5 to 9 servings up there, a lot of people say, wow. Almost everybody I see in the office is not eating this many vegetables, and the ones that are losing weight. So a serving would be half a cup cooked, or a full cup raw. And also it could be also fruit. So fruit, vegetables, either or, as much as you can. But the magic to the vegetables are really your legumes. So those are your beans, which are very helpful. Trying to get a half a cup of legumes in a day, people live up to 10 years longer. Quality of sleep. Can't say enough about quality of sleep. How many people here feel like they sleep well? Oh, that's pretty good. And you're all still awake right now, which is wonderful. Quality of sleep can be defined in many different ways, but this plays a big role in your waistline. You're too tired to exercise, or you're tired, you eat instead, or you stress eat, et cetera, et cetera. So trying to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and it may not be the best sleep. You're going to wake up a lot to urinate, but you've got to hopefully go back to sleep. But the key here is early to bed, early to rise. It helps you make your executive decision-making part of your brain work better, so you make healthier choices as time goes on. So next, what happens after menopause and or moving to Cape Cod is we have lots of lovely, yummy restaurants. So trying to minimize eating out is easier said than done. But you can expect at least 300 to 400 more calories in that meal than you thought. If you ever bring home half of it and you take it out of the refrigerator the next morning, you say, I think that's fat. I think that's butter on the bottom of that. So you can expect to have those extra calories that you have to sort of chase after your tail to try to work off the next few days. So it really takes consistency over time to lose weight as we get older. So realistic goals is always my other component here that is very, very important. A lot of folks say, oh, I'd like to lose 10 pounds. Or if I said to everybody in this room, how would you feel, would you like to lose, how much weight would you like to lose? And they would say, oh, I'd love to lose 20 pounds. And I said, well, would you be happy losing 5 pounds? And most women would say, no, I would like to lose the 20 pounds. And often we get to 20 pounds, we want to lose 25 pounds. And 2% of the population is happy with their weight, so we're never going to be happy with whatever that number is. So instead of going that direction, we want to really just try to look at losing body fat, which takes a very long, slow time. You can't physiologically lose more than 1 to 1.5 pounds of fat off your body a week. So taking time to, or having more, I'm with time because I was looking at you, Julie. So when you're losing weight faster than that, it's going to be either water or it's going to be muscle. So you don't want to lose that muscle because each pound on your body is going to burn about 60 calories a day for you. So as we go on these fad diets and lose weight fast, say we lose, 10 pounds in a month, okay, that's about double what we should have. So maybe that's 5 pounds of maybe some of that's water. What if you lost, say, 5 pounds of muscle over that year? Times 60, so now you're burning 300 calories less a day. So over time, we really want to keep that muscle. And if we want to keep fat on, that's not doing us any favors. It's only burning 3 calories a day. So we want to make sure that we are stronger for it. And so that is bringing us to the next movement. So everybody who is ready and willing to join me can push back your chair just a little bit. And there's a couple of different components here. So it's very important that we keep our bones strong. So I chose 3 exercises that are in your bag for what I feel is the most helpful for, is that sounding funny for folks? Or is that just me? A little forward? Okay. So we want to protect our bones. So the more we move those muscles, they tug on the bone and they tell the bone to grow. So what we're going to start with are our hips. So everybody come on and stand up with me. It wasn't too bad, except for going back down. Now, if you're willing, hands across the chest and stand up with me. Pretty good. We're all still doing okay. All right, so stand on up again. Now I want you to shift your weight over to your right foot and go down with just that right leg. Try to go down just using the left leg. Right leg, right leg, right leg. I'm mirroring you. Okay, up we go again. No one fell over. That's wonderful. Shift your weight over to your left leg. Now try to sit down slowly on using just that left leg. Ka-thunk. Okay, so up again. Let's try that again. So let's go over to that right leg, slowly lower down, use just that right leg. Up with both. And slowly lower down using that left leg, left leg, left leg, left leg, and down. And so for the energetic folks out there, you can go both directions. So for the skiers, up with just that right leg, down with just that right leg. Up with just that left leg, down with just that left leg. All right, take a break. So that was pretty challenging. Your knees might feel it and so forth. But what we just did was we just doubled our body weight over that one leg. So that just stimulated your hip strength more so. So that might have been a little more challenging for some of you. You can just go with just your sit stands. You could also take that same move and do it against the wall and slide down and come up. Make sure your feet are as far away from the wall as you can. If it's bothering your knees, which is what we just did, then more of those feet come out in front of you and you can see those toes, the more ability you will have to be able to slide up and down that wall. Maybe shift the weight a little more to that left leg, maybe more to that right leg. Okay, so that's our first move. Next move, I'll have you all stand up again. This is my all-time favorite exercise. So when I worked in rheumatology, women who came in with neck and shoulder pain, if they did this exercise, they always felt better. So this is for your posture. So your arms are going to come out in front. Okay, you're going to drive those elbows back. Hopefully the elbows are as high as your shoulders, if you can. If not, lower is fine. Hands go up like you're a cactus or you're being held up at the bank. You can choose which you want to think about here. And now let those elbows drop down towards your back pocket and bring it around. Okay, I'm going to turn sideways, but you're still doing the same thing facing me. Arms out in front, elbows pull back. So one thing we want to think about is that head not coming forward, keeping the chin in a little bit. Arms up at the bank, elbows drop to the back pocket. And again, arms come up. Here I come. Elbows drive back, hands up at the bank. Elbows drop down to the back pocket. Let's try one more. Arms out in front. Elbows come back. Hands up at the bank. Elbows drop down to the back pocket. Very nicely done. Doesn't that feel good? So if we end up in front of the computer or a book or what have you, now we're going to come around to the back of your seat. We're almost done. One more move, and then I'll take on questions. Okay, so this exercise in your handout shows me on all fours, but it doesn't have to necessarily be done on all fours. We can do it using a chair. So you're going to bring your right leg back behind you with a pointed toe. It can stay right down on the floor, and then the left arm comes up overhead. So try to bring that arm back, and now lift that leg off the floor 1 inch. And if you have good balance, just try to stand right here. Arm up and back, leg down and back. So the other thing about protecting our bones is we also don't want to fall and break. So this is a great exercise for balance. Yeah, how are we doing? And down. Okay, let's try the other side. I was just making sure there weren't anybody having any martini lunches today. Left leg back. Straight. Right arm up and back. Chin in. Lift that foot slightly. Up and back and hold. 2, 3, navel in. 4, breathe. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and down. Okay, you can have a seat. So those are all great exercises for, encouraging bone strength, posture, back, and balance. I welcome questions.